1960s excellent photo with the beautiful curtains, the TV with the elegant legs, the fire bucket with the logs in, and the clock on the mantelpiece. That's Ben. Yeah, so that must have just been a holiday that they had together. Same windbreak though on the.
Yeah.
And that was the windbreak we had when we were little, so a lot of holidays. And this is my graduation. I made that dress especially for graduation. It was yellow Laura Ashley with blue flowers on. And the belt, you can see I've got a blue belt. That was one of the ones that I wove for one of my final pieces.
This is of your granny and her 2 sisters, and her 1 brother. This is of my great-grandmother, her mother, her father, her 2 sisters, and 1 brother. Now there's the one in the middle. Is this your papa?
Yeah, that's Papa. And that was on his 90th birthday.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he died that year. We had his 90th party, but I don't think he survived to the next one. So that's on her honeymoon as well. And that next one where she's knitting on her honeymoon. Eileen was always the beautiful blonde, and Granny always felt like she was the not so beautiful brunette.
She'd just been on a search in the photos in the loft, as she had a sudden memory of a picture with her granny in bed at her mum's house when she'd had a stroke. She had hoped that the quilt had been in the photo, but sadly it wasn't.
I can hear her voice sometimes. Just laughing. She had quite a loud laugh, didn't she? So that car was called Sylvia because it was the silver colour. I don't think she passed first time, might have passed second time. But it was just such a thrill to her to have independence. And she bought her own car and would drive up and down to school because historically, when she was a teacher and we were at the school, we would walk up and down. It was about a 20-minute walk up and down the hill. Whereas now she could drive.
When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves, and satin sandals, and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells, and run my stick along the public railings, and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in slippers in the rain, and pick flowers in other people's gardens, and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have clothes that keep us dry, and pay our rent, and not swear in the street, and set good examples for the children.
That might have been 89.
Hmm.
Well, no, because my granny looks like she's not in a wheelchair, is she? So,
No, she looks quite well.
yeah, so no, it would have been before that, maybe 87. I don't know whether he had Alzheimer's. He had quite severe dementia.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so lovely. I just loved him. He was just so lovely. That particular visit to London, we decided that we wanted these denim swingy jackets. And Granny's argument was that my one with all the flowers wouldn't go with anything else because it was too patterned. So as I proved, I wore it with anything. That was in 86. So that was my first visit home after 2 years. And I think I sent you a photo recently of me standing between Granny and Papa.
Yes, I think so.
I came back, yeah. And I'm wearing that suit.
So what year did they get married?
57. Granny was 22.
I feel like she looks older than me though. I don't think I look that grown up.
But on this cassette tape I was listening to, it could have been Granny talking about that situation in the same way that I speak about Grandad now, longing for him to come and live with me and wanting to do the right thing and stuff. But my granny had had several strokes by that time. but by that time she couldn't do anything, so it wasn't like she could sit and do stitching or knitting or anything, because she'd lost the use of one of her hands. And that really upset her because her speech was slurred and she couldn't make herself understood. And she used to get really frustrated because she'd be trying to tell you something and she just couldn't get the words out. And also, she knew that she used to be able to do so much beautiful stitching and stuff. And now she just couldn't. She just sat there and couldn't do anything. My granny used to get so frustrated that she'd be taken to this day centre, treated like she's stupid. And in order to exercise her hands, they would give her one of these sewing cards to do. And it was like a card with a picture on it, with holes punched in it, with a shoelace. And she would have to push the shoelace down and up and down and up. And it was to exercise her poorly hand. But she would she'd chuck it on the floor. She would just refuse to do it. And one time she was able to turn up the hem of the dress that she was wearing and point at the stitches in the hem as if to say, you know, this is what I am capable of. You know, you're talking to somebody who's made clothes and done beautiful stitching and dressmaking, and you're asking me to do this thing. So that was really, really hard.